Now put all these shoes.
All right, Olivia, give me 1 second, okay?
I'll go to the
You
store
watching this?
and we'll
Okay.
go back soon.
All right, guys. So for today, there's been a lot of breaking stories, and like I said, it was gonna get to the point, like when I did my first video, it was gonna get to the point that this was going to become too late. It was gonna become. I mean, I thought it's Thursday today. I thought, and it was Thursday when I had said when they should have said it. By then, it still would have been too late. But they're even another week too late, and they finally declare a global emergency declaration on the coronavirus. Global. Finally, we know that they met all this week. They met all last week, and for some reason, I don't know. I don't know what data they were looking at, because I'm a guy with a laptop here in my with restrictions and family, and they have all the information and resources in the world. And I could have told you last week this is a global emergency. And it would have been a lot more effective to do that last week, although it still might have been a little bit too late. Now it's definitely too late. We already have now. If you guys have been watching, we understand what's first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. That's what we thought we were at. Then we found out that the first guy who was actually we thought was the first generation, which would be the first guy to contract it, didn't actually get it the way they thought he got it, and they really didn't know how he got it, which really kind of made my antennas go up. Like, okay, there's more to this. This story is getting thicker. So, not that, and I always kind of stated that there was a very good chance of that, anyways. I can't answer that. I can't take calls either. I'm on my phone. So, and I'm with my daughter. It's just me and my daughter. So, also, on top of that, we now have, as far as the generations, like I was just saying, after all that, I answered and they stay silent. And they'll probably keep calling. Because you know why? There's people out there that don't want you guys to know the truth. And then there's other people out there that are just sick and sadistic. So I don't know which category to put them in. And I answered the phone politely. I was going to answer the phone like, listen, mother. But I answered it politely just in case. Nothing. I sat there, gave him a second chance, nothing. But they successfully interrupted, but I didn't lose my train of thought. So, as we were talking about with these generations, right? Now, the first generation, we know that actually, so he still might be first generation, except it might have been an outbreak that was more nefarious, let's say. We've talked about what was close by. I've been told by my source to be careful on certain things I say, actually. But I'm gonna be as careful as I can without I'm not gonna withhold anything either. But I'm just gonna be careful on exactly what I say. Um, so I suggest you watch that video just in case anything doesn't make sense to you. So let's just say it did come from an animal. That means he's second generation. That means what they thought was fourth generation, meaning the people who came to America and basically went to all these other countries and got other people sick. I mean, not that, no, I mean, not take away that last part for now. That came to these other countries, and then in these other countries went to hospitals and were diagnosed with it. They were considered fourth generation at that time. Now, as I said, I had the professor who's an expert in this stuff. This is what he does for a living, and I played some of his videos, and I find him to be right on. And this guy has been calling it the whole time, and and there's certain graphs that he had that I like, so I would play a couple of his clips. And he said, if we get to fifth generation, we're in big trouble. Now, why is that? Well, that means at this point, he's looking at the current events, saying that with air travel and all that, and the fact that the Chinese New Year, okay, just passed, and by the way, it's the year of the rat. Um, and in fact, if you look at my thumbnail, if you guys that looks familiar, that's from the Economist magazine. We know that every year the Economist magazine puts out some type of like decipher. Um, I think it'd be kind of like something kind of cool. You guys tell me what you get out of it. Um, I found something amazing that I'll reveal tonight in the video, but I cut off the top part because it's irrelevant. That top part, all the data is in the middle. And as a form of crypto, I mean it's a lot easier. But I looked around and nobody. I googled what I found, and nobody found it. I couldn't believe it. I bet you a lot of people will stop finding it now because of what's going on. Um, so just see what you can do with that. I would take it just Google it yourself. 2020 Economist magazine cover. That way you can get a big image of it. Zoom in on those, because some of the letters get real small, and just see what you can decipher. It might not be the way you think it is. There might be different ways that you're gonna have to do it, but it's fun. Just check it out. Anyways, back to what I'm reporting. So finally, now they're reporting that the World Health Organization is finally saying this is a global emergency. Way too late. Way too late. Way, 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 way too late. And the reason I say that, I have proof it's too late. So we were talking about generations. Let's assume the guy who they now say most likely isn't first generation because they're still sticking to their story that it came from an animal, a snake, most likely. Um, that was the last thing they said, which there's that. And then all the pieces of peace and security, security and peace. I mean, it seems like Netanyahu's going out of his way all over the world. You just keep saying those two words, one after the other. I think that's by accident. That's one of the most well-known warnings there is from the Bible. They know what they're doing. And I always like hated fearmongers, but only because they would do it just for reasons of money or to grow or to get views and subs. And every YouTuber wouldn't mind having those things. They're not as important to me. Um, to be honest with you, they're really not. Because the bigger you get, the more the more chance I have with the way I have a loose mouth that you know who knows. Especially now, it's just me and Olivia. But for now at least, well, it's probably just me and Olivia. But that's I don't even want to talk about that. So anyway, so also in Chicago, one of the people who came home sick, who again, like the news, all I see in the news is, oh, it's not as bad as SARS because look at this graph, and they cherry pick little stats, but they don't tell you the whole story like I did in that video. And in that video, I told you the whole story. Well, it makes this so deadly is not only the R naught of 3.8, which could possibly be higher, but I'll stick with 3.8 for now. Um, they say it could be as high as 4.0, but I'm gonna stick with 3.8 because I'm not gonna understate anymore. I understated a little bit because I didn't want to overstate, and I wish I had just said a few things that I wish I wanted to say definitely after a few sentences. Basically, that's it. Um, but the woman who came home gave her to her husband. So then, when she finds out she's sick, she goes to the hospital, and then here we are, about a week to 10 days later. So it sounds like that's the incubation period. It's not 14. It's probably more like 7 to 10. Um, maybe, yeah, about 7 to 10. Because Illinois was the second state, I believe, to get it. So yeah, it's about 7 to 10 day incubation period. Because oh, actually, when you think of it, I'm thinking off. It could be up to 14 because when she got home, she was still fine. Well, as soon as she saw him, even though she felt great, like I said, she could run a 26.2 mile if she was that type of person. But she would get just as sick. Well, I shouldn't say that. The older, the younger, and the compromised immune system people do have a higher death rate. Um, but what really makes so it could be as high as 14 days or more, like it was reported by a few scientists, American scientists. Her husband has it. So now we have the first. See, so far, every case that was in the U.S. came from China over here, right? And then, after a while, we don't know how long they were sick. That's why the incubation periods kind of changed. That they went from 5 to 7 to 10 to 14 or more. They kind of covered their ass at that point. They're like 14 or more. Pretty vague. And a lot more than what they originally said, which makes me wonder as well. Because it gets to a point where it's just too late. So now, let's say she got home. Let's undersell this. Let's undersell it just for the sake of argument. Let's say she was home for 5 days before she showed symptoms. Let's say five. Oh yeah, but the thing is, heaven's calling. When it comes to stats, it doesn't really matter. It's like death toll. Well, that doesn't matter. This is still active. Um, even the R naught number. That's how quick it can spread. Okay, well, SARS has a pretty high R naught number. So does the regular flu. I mean, actually, no, I'm sorry. The regular flu is actually pretty low. So does the chicken pox. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that, that's just how quick it spreads. What makes this so deadly is that incubation period because they don't know they're sick. You can't just round up everybody, right? Yeah, I mean, unless they're like literally within the ground zero, like Wuhan. But guess what? They didn't do that either. They had a plane land in the U.S. and they did all their special tests to make sure that they don't have it. Which, by the way, is one of those things where they take your temperature. Doot. All right, you're good. Get on the plane. By the time they landed, one of them already when they got back, when they landed in the U.S. Doot, oh shoot, he was sick. Yeah. All right. So that's how quick that person was. Just in the flight from the first time he got tested before the flight to when he landed and got tested, the symptoms had finally came out. You know. So that's what makes this deadly is the flying all over the world that they allowed. I said a week ago, they need to shut down ports, shipping ports. Now that means also the global economy, and that's what they were worried about, all about money. But they're gonna really regret that decision because even though it was all about money, hey, none of that matters when everyone's dead. Or maybe it's by design, maybe that's what they want, because not everyone will be dead. All right. If you know it's coming and you know to go somewhere and stay away from people and go to a secluded place, or let's say I don't know, there's a patent that's already kind of been out for a a V. You know what I'm saying? To make sure you're all good. Well, then they don't have to worry, right? Or is the end game that is the end game that they want to give everyone that I don't know, but all I do know is that they screwed up and they screwed up so bad that I mean, I have never made a question where I like say something that's so scary. You know what I mean? Never. Yeah, I did last week. You know why? I knew it. I knew it from all that data. I studied so much and I educated myself and I said, wait, this doesn't make sense. All it takes is with that incubation period, and this is when I thought it was 5 to 7 days. Now we're talking as high as 2 weeks. Even and then, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. You can easily not show symptoms and get on a plane. And once I found out that their big way of testing is a friggin' thing to take your temperature, I'm like, well, that's it. There's no other technology. I mean, I guess you can't blame them. I mean, I guess they do not know any other way to tell if you have it until you show symptoms. Whereas SARS, see, someone like compared some stats to SARS, you can't compare it because with SARS, they can detect it and you are sick and all that right away. It's detectable immediately. So it's pretty easy to kind of, although it was like a very deadly thing. It would once they knew it was going, they were able to contain it quick. Um, this you don't know. Anyone could have it. Anybody. And even we know that even covering the mouth, we found out in the eyes a doctor died like that. So you would need eyewear as well. You could have this all on your mouth all you want, and but who knows? Maybe it's probably a lot harder to get it through the eyes, I would imagine. And then not to mention how long. It's not just like you're in the same room or airplane with someone. No, it's everywhere they went. It can live for up to a month. Now I say that because it's up to a month in warmer climates. In cold climates, it's like they say, this is what they say, 7 days it can live on any surface. It'll live all around you. Okay, put it this way. The woman who came home and the first person in America that got it that didn't go to China. Now his wife was in China, came home, wasn't sick yet, gave it to him, but we don't know how long she wasn't sick. We don't know how long she got it before she got home. These are all variables that are very hard to find out because it was so rampant there. She could have got it anytime, anywhere. And they still don't know exactly what they keep changing what they think the incubation latency period, which, by the way, if you those of you who don't know, is the amount of time that you're not showing symptoms, yet you're just as infectious as the person who is on their deathbed. So that is what makes this so different. Whereas SARS, you detect it. If you have it, you're detectable. They can tell. So that's a lot more containable. So that plane, the guy ends up getting sick. They rerouted it to the CDC. So at least they did one thing right. But guess what? It doesn't matter. There's been planes coming out of there, going into Shanghai, and going all around the world for not only the past week. I mean, weeks and weeks and weeks. Now it first started December 1st, supposedly, right? But now that guy from December 1st, now they're saying, oh, actually, he didn't get it the way we thought, so there's a chance that he actually got it from someone else. So it might even be back further. Or he might have just got it from something different than what they thought. You know what I mean? This is bad. It's bad. So now we have someone in America, in Illinois, I believe Chicago, don't quote me, but I believe Chicago, who for I don't know how long, walked around, went grocery shopping. I don't know, just what a normal people do. Go to the gym. God forbid he rode the train or something like that, or did public transportation, or an Uber driver. I don't know, just something where you're spreading it like crazy. But it's not just like if you were there at the same time, and I'm going to keep repeating myself just to make sure I drive this home. Anywhere that man went, that virus is going to, you can be infected by that virus. So let's say that guy was at the library, you know, 10 to 14 days ago. Oh, but Matt, you said in cold climates, and Chicago is a cold climate. Not that cold. Theirs is probably like 8, 9 days, maybe nine. I'm just guessing, but they're saying like as cold. So I'm thinking the coldest environment. So you know it's probably more like 10 days. Well, Matt, you just said cold climates with dead winter. Ah, well, that's the thing. What a coincidence. The warmest winter on record is this year, especially in New England. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, 75 degrees and 72 degrees on 2 weekend days. And the normal temperature is in the high 30s and 40s during the day and, the 30s at night. Whereas normally it's like teens to single digits at night and 20s in the day. That's average. It can drop to below zero during the day. I mean, it just depends on the day. I'm just giving you the average numbers, right? And it just happens to be the warmest winter ever. And it also happens to break out right before the Chinese New Year, the year of the rat, when that is the highest time for Chinese travel. Whereas, in America, is it Christmas or Thanksgiving? I don't know, probably Christmas, right? That's like in America, if they started in America, and it was right for, a couple weeks before Christmas. Same thing. Or like a month before Christmas, because that's the thing. You got to get it first generation, second, third, fourth. Well, we're at least at the fifth generation, potentially sixth generation with this man in Illinois. And anywhere that he went, now we're talking sixth generation, potentially seventh. And the reason I keep saying potentially is, remember, the guy who they thought was the original person, they found out, oh no, wait, he didn't get it the way we thought he did. So it's possible he got it from another human or some other manner. Okay? So I'm just going to stay with this man that just got sick from his wife is fifth generation. And do you guys remember what that guy said? I saw guy, I shouldn't say that. The doctor said, the professor from Duke University. This is what he does for work. He knows what he's talking about. He said, when you hit fifth generation, when you're in the fifth and sixth generation, you screw. That's bad. That's bad, 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 bad. Well, we know for a fact we're at least in the fifth generation. And the thing is, this man didn't know he was sick. It didn't get announced till today. He probably went to the hospital probably like 2 days ago, maybe a day ago. You know what I mean? 2 days ago. I don't know how long these tests take. So imagine that. Everywhere he went, like to this day, anywhere he went. So if he only went in a few days ago, oh, anywhere he went is anyone who goes to those places has if the rate is 3.8, I would say like around a 38% chance of getting it being exact. I don't want to give disinformation, but if it's 3.8, the chances of transmission at that point are very high, and I would say around that percentage. If you're in a place where he was, where he frequented or was, and if you get sick from going to one of those places, which damn well, obviously somebody will, it's not like he, just walked around and never went anywhere. And not only was nobody around him, but also nobody goes around anywhere that he went in this whole period of time. Every single little place he went. That's like saying that's the only way. Is if like nobody went away. That's the only way that there's no chance of sixth generation. And at that point, it's gonna get really hard to contain. And you might see some huge changes. I mean, economy, forget it. Look at China. It's we used to talk about ghost cities, right? Ghost cities. They literally do have ghost cities now. All right. Some of these cities, they just like literally just nothing. No one's out. What do you think that does to an economy? You start shutting down ports. You start shutting down the roads in and out of Beijing. What do you think that does? to the economy. So I just wanted to give you those few updates. So the WHO, way too late, finally declares it a global emergency. Like we didn't know that a long time ago. And we're just getting secondhand knowledge from China. China's known it forever. They've known it since, I would say, mid-December. I'd say our government's probably known since late December. And we've known since, about, when I say we, I mean, just like us that are actually paying attention in the public. We've known for about, I don't know, what, 7, 10 days? Not even like 7 days. And right away, I said this needs to be where's the World Health Organization? This is a definite global health. But that's it. They wanted to wait until not there was more than just China that it was spreading, and you got another generation added to it, as if that wouldn't happen. I mean, that was the most predictable thing to. And I would have put everything. I would have put my life on that it would eventually, somebody else in another country would get it without going to China. I just didn't think it would be the heartland of America, right in Chicago. I'm saying Chicago. I know it was Illinois. I'm pretty sure it was Chicago, but definitely Illinois. Um, so this is extremely serious, guys. Um, and actually, you know what? The pale horse. This is actually the white horse. I misquoted. I was looking at it wrong. This is the white horse. Um, because guess what? The white horse. What does the white horse do? They conquer and they kill with a crown, right? They have a crown, so everyone assumes it's this king. Well, what have I always said about Bible prophecy? It never happens the way you think. Now, why do they call it the coronavirus? Because supposedly, I don't see it, but they think that under a microscope, it looks like a corona. Well, what's a corona mean? A crown. This this really looks like the white horse spoken of in the Bible. This is the first one, which will be followed by the red horse. And it always happens different. All Bible prophecy always happens different than you imagine. When they described the Revelation 12, no one expected it to be that retrograde that Jupiter did within Virgo coming out between the legs. No one expected it like that. It's just but once it happens, it's clear. And to me, it's clear that this has a white horse written all over it. Um, but that's just me putting the Bible into this, and I've heard so many different versions. And my goal, just so you guys know, isn't to scare you, isn't to, be right, nothing like that. My goal is to give you accurate information while you're being bombarded with 100,000 different opinions that have some evidence, but you need that evidence, then it needs to be backed up, and then it needs to be squared off. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do. Give you the facts, show you how I got there. That way you can, when you disagree with me, like, we could actually have an actual debate, like, and open up calls, things like that. But like I said, I have my daughter. It's just me and my daughter tonight. So, after she goes to bed, I'm putting the show together. If that's too late for you guys, I'm sorry. But, some things come first. And I'll take calls, all of that. So this is the Red Pill Dispensary. Be safe. Illinois, be extremely safe. But really, don't feel like if you're outside of Illinois, you're any more safe. I mean, right near where my mother lives, there's a hospital with two patients that are suspected It's not confirmed, but suspected. So they're Chinese. They came from China. So I mean, last week, I don't know, man. I don't know how. I don't know. Everything I said last week. They can't be letting flights out of there. I said that last week, and they continue to let flights. They could, and I said, in fact, it'd probably be too late. But let's not make a mountain a molehill. Yeah, actually, that doesn't make sense there. But let's not make a bad situation a really bad situation like I don't even know what to call it. I mean, worse applies, I guess, but it would be yeah. So we'll talk about all this tonight and much, much more. This is just like real quick. I just saw it. They announced it. I just can't believe it. They're a lot of blood on their hands, in my opinion. Red pill dispensary.